Guys, should we talk about the men's A-team tri-series in the UAE? The men had to play Afghanistan and Ireland. They won it. I wasn't able to see any of it because it wasn't shown in the UK. Looking at the scorecards, it feels like they won it without breaking sweat. And actually, I kind of wonder we talked about this last time, Dom. How much value really is there in having an A team side that's stacked full of players that have played full senior international cricket, going out and playing this Ireland team and this Afghanistan team, which weren't stacked with the kind of quality or with players with the experience, I should say. I'm not saying none of those players can't go on and do big things. I'm just not sure what benefit there really was to that bunch of players that Sri Lanka sent. I don't know how you feel about it, Dom.
Yeah, I'll start with what I see as the positives. Uh, we talked about what's going on with Dilshan Madhushanka in the last podcast and talked about how it was a little disappointing, right? That he in the first match didn't produce much, but he turned that around. The next two matches, he took 4 wickets, and they had a YouTube stream, so I was watching. He was getting pace and movement. He was moving it into the right hander, away from the right hander. The things that we had seen that made him a special bowler at the highest level were still there. And that to me is like almost worth the series as a whole, right? Because you're getting a player who is so valuable and is so useful and can play at the highest level, right? He was the second highest wicket taker in the 2023 World Cup for a bad Sri Lanka side, right? Seeing him back with pace and movement, that was great to see. I also liked how they shuffled the batters around. So yes, it's not great to see Sadira playing these matches because he's 31, or even someone like Lahiru Hudara, who's also 31. But seeing Kamil Mishara get some goes, he's someone who's looked really promising in sort of the National Super League. So seeing him play was really good. Pawan Ratnayaka
Mm.
didn't actually get too many games, but when he came in, he really, really played well. He played these last two matches. Sri Lanka today was playing the final against Ireland A, and they started out at 42 for 4. 43 for 5. Beg your pardon. And Pawan Ratnayaka, together with Milan Ratnayaka, took them to a 5 wicket victory, and he scored a 77. He played a ton of shots, nine boundaries, 2 sixes. He did a similar thing in the last match where he scored a 46 not out. And he's the kind of player that we've kind of been curious, or someone who can maintain that pace, that scoring ability in the middle overs, and he's been a real talent that's come through. So seeing him get games and show his capabilities was really, really good to see. I think it also another positive I take from this is Tharinder Ratnayaka is someone who's
Mm.
knocking on the door. Right, we've talked about Kamindu Mendes as being the ambidextrous bowler, but Tharinder Ratnayaka has shown that he's capable of taking wickets at a high level. And so it would be interesting to see his role in a Sri Lanka side going forward. So to me, those were really the big wins, is seeing some of these players who are on the younger side perform and show that they have the attributes to be international players. Yes, they won the tournament. Great for them. I disagree with some of the selections, having some of these older players be in the side, but seeing those players who we expect much of, the Pawans, the Dilshan Madhushankas, and even Lasith Kruspale got some game time and scored a couple of scored some quick runs. Those are all positive signs that I saw.
Estelle, what's the reception be like for this series in Sri Lanka? Are many people talking about it, or is the IPL dominated conversation?
Yeah, I don't know if there's a lot of conversation about it, particularly because of the opposition, right? Like, I mean, no disrespect
Mm.
to Ireland or Afghanistan, but as you mentioned, there aren't that many big names in those A teams. And Sri Lanka basically were expected to kind of roll them over in this tournament, and they have. I mean, it's been a fight in the last game, but other than that, it's been pretty comfortable, I think, for Sri Lanka right throughout. But just to add on to what Dom was saying, it's good to see those guys who could have a big future with the Sri Lankan team getting that opportunity and performing well, right? And I think it's important. I'm a bit on the fence about like guys like Sadira, because I still feel like, what if they have something to offer for 2 years to the Sri Lankan national team, then that's still worth looking into, because the game is moving so fast, right? It's not like a guy who's good today is going to be in the team for the next 10 years like it was the case in the past, or it shouldn't be the case, because there are so many players coming up. So if they do have something to offer, and if they have something to offer in the gaps that Sri Lanka have to fill in that side, then I think it's still valuable. But as Dom said, again, like the guys like Kamil, Mishara, Pawan Ratnayaka in particular, I don't know how far away he is from getting a debut in some format, right? Because he's been consistently performing for the A team, but how much of a jump is it from that A team level to international level? Is that you can maybe gauge by someone like Dushan Hemanta, because he struggled at international level, but he seems to be very, very good at that one level lower, whether it's domestic cricket or list or A team cricket. He seems to be able to find his kind of rhythm and wicket taking ability in that level, but just can't make the step up, or hasn't been able to so far. So there is still like that. I think there's still a massive gap between the A team and international level, but it's still, that's the only choice we have, right? It's the only way you get to see what these guys have to offer, without just throwing them into international cricket. So it was good to see. I was very excited to see actually the final in particular, because Pawan Ratnayaka really does seem like a unique type of player, or a guy that you don't see often, a type of player that you don't see often in Sri Lanka.
Um, Sometimes I've been thinking about this a lot, where I'm slightly worried, and I don't know how much Sri Lanka cricket can do about this. And my worry is that I just wonder if we're playing test teams, or we're playing white ball games against test playing cricket nations, but we're not playing against the best ones. So actually, if this tournament was against New Zealand and South Africa, it would feel to me much more useful than playing against Ireland and Afghanistan. And yeah, there is a slight on Ireland and Afghanistan, because Afghanistan's obviously in a very unique situation where they're basically running in exile, but Ireland are just not. Their second, their A team is going to be miles off the pace of a South Africa A team, or an Australia A team, or an England A team, or even a Pakistan or Bangladesh A team. In the past, Sri Lanka have got criticised for playing Bangladesh too much. The flip side of it
So to
is
be fair,
you can only play the teams that want to play you, right?
they did have a big South Africa A series just a few months ago, right, in South Africa. So I think for these players, I think it's really, really important to get exposure outside of Sri Lanka, because they play NSL, they play domestically, and this is kind of the proving ground for them. It's like, what can you do when you don't know the conditions, when you don't know the bowlers? So I think obviously we'd love to play all the best sides in the world and give them the best exposure, but I think long run decent exposure adds up over time.